Hey guys, it is Mr. Dave with the RayKitty Creation Workshop, and you are watching the RayKitty Science Project. Thanks for tuning in and checking us out. We've got some fun stuff today, especially like right now when we're filming this. It is the hot of summer where, like, if you are here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, you are definitely hiding out in your house all day, which means your kiddos, students, whoever, are also hiding out in your house all day, which means you probably want to find something for them to do. So today's is some easy stuff. All of these are things that you probably already have at home. Some of them are just a little bit trickier version. This beautiful purple stuff here is just sand. This is just craft sand. You can use normal sand. Go outside. Careful, that sand is hot, hot, hot because it's like 1,000 degrees outside. But this, I just bought craft sand because it's a little more fun as far as colors and things like that, but you can use normal old sand, okay? So when you're getting ready for what we're doing today, a lot of this is some kinetic, some hands-on stuff. The young guys can do it, the older guys can do it. This is fun no matter what age you are. The mess level on this one, you may want to do it over a floor you can sweep. You can vacuum it, but you might be getting some stuff in the carpet. Nothing's crazy messy, but this one is probably a 2 out of 5 on the messy scale. Okay, so the materials that we'll be using today are going to be just vegetable oil. Okay, any kind of vegetable oil you've got, expensive stuff, cheap stuff, doesn't matter. As I said, sand. This here is craft sand. I bought it at the, well, craft store. Yeah, so, and you can tell that it's really fancy because it says sand. Yeah, it's just sand. Yeah, so you can buy it in little packs, sometimes at the dollar store, if you do want to use that colored sand. One thing I would recommend against that I have seen people do on the internet is to color the sand themselves. Can you color sand yourself? Yep. But when you color the sand yourself, when you start to mix it with other materials and compounds, that coloring is a terrible mess. Yeah, so you're going to have it on clothes, hands, all those kind of things. So I recommend against coloring your own sand. That was a sentence I never thought that I would have to say, but there it is. Yeah, I recommend against coloring your own sand. So this is pre-bought colored sand. So we have sand, we have vegetable oil. I'm also going to be using baby oil. Okay, baby oil or mineral oil, they're actually both the same thing, but I've got some baby oil here. Baby oil has a little bit of scent added to it usually that makes it kind of pleasant when you are playing with some of our materials here. I have cornstarch. Okay, cornstarch is the same as we use when we're making oobleck. If you look back into some of our older episodes, we have done oobleck. We will have a little bit of oobleck-ish material today, but we're not really making the oobleck. If you want to find out about that one, look into some of our older episodes. We have a lot about oobleck on speakers and all kinds of fun stuff. Another one that I do have that you may not have at home, unless you have a little baby, is sodium polyacrylate. And you say, well, do I have sodium polyacrylate? Yes, it is inside of a diaper. Now, this is not a diaper, and this is a lot of sodium polyacrylate. I did not dissect 1,000 diapers for this. I have done plenty of diaper dissections. It's a fun thing to do if you want to harvest some of that sodium polyacrylate. You can purchase some diapers, you tear them apart, and there's a powder in there. Now, I recommend doing it before the baby has used the diaper. Yeah, because you don't want to use it after the baby has used the diaper because of some of the wonderful properties of sodium polyacrylate. And we'll talk about that when we get there. So this is something that isn't as readily available around the house, but really doing a diaper dissection is a lot more fun than it sounds. But like I say, make sure you use clean diapers and you can harvest that stuff from diapers. Yes, so I'm using all kinds of weird sentences that I never thought I would utter today. So sodium polyacrylate is the only kind of strange one, and we'll talk about that one in a little bit. So if you're getting your stuff ready for today, those are some of the materials we're going to be using. As I said, today is kind of just a boredom buster. There isn't any big fancy chemicals or microscopes or anything that's going to make this TV go poop, 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 poop. Nothing like that today. So we're going to do some things you can do hands-on that you can do very easily, very fun at home. Measuring the stoichiometry. Okay, remember I love that word, stoichiometry. The stoichiometry on none of this is very important. Okay, when we're making our kinetic sand, which is one of the things that we're going to be doing today, I have a 5-3-1. Okay, and that is 5 parts to 3 parts to 1 part. You can do that with a shovel. You can do that with a bucket. You can do that with a measuring cup. It doesn't really matter. And again, that stoichiometry isn't super important, okay? So you don't have to worry about it too much. Now, because really these are for fun, and they're also kind of to preference, okay? I have done lots of classes. If you are a science teacher and you're working with students, you know that there have been far too many times in your life that you've made slime. Okay, now we're not making slime today, but it's the same thing as I say when you are making slime. If you're making it at home, it's to your preference. Everybody likes a little bit different kind. So we're going to do the same with some of these. We're going to start with our kinetic sand because it's crazy fun. Okay, so kinetic sand or moon sand, you may see it as different brands and things like that. It is something that you can purchase ready-made. They have it all over the place. But it's way more fun if you're making it yourself. And it's a lot cheaper. Okay, so what we're going to use is I have my purple sand here. Remember, you can use sand from outside, no problem. If you are using sand from outside and you are going to be playing it with your hands and things like that, I do recommend getting the goat heads out first. Yeah, because while it can be fun to watch the kids squeezing into the goat head ball, you may want to kind of just pick those out or filter them out. You can use just a little strainer or a screen, anything like that, but try and get all the goat heads out before you start handling the sand, okay? So this one is my 5-3-1, okay? And that is going to be 5 parts to 3 parts and then to 1 part of my oil, okay? Now, in this case here, I used 5/3, right? So 1 2/3 cups, I used 5/3 of my purple sand. Now, you're going to want to mix your dry ingredients first, okay? So I have my dry sand there, okay, in my bucket or in my bowl. This is our cornstarch that I was talking about earlier, okay? If you don't have cornstarch at home, flour will work, but cornstarch, just like it does with that oobleck, and we talked a little bit about some of the molecular way that the cornstarch works. Just like with that oobleck, if you do use cornstarch, it is going to just give you a little bit better result. But if all you have in the house is flour, you can use flour and it'll be fine. So we have 5 parts to 3 parts, right? Which 3/3 is 1 cup. So I have 1 cup of this, okay? And then I'm going to use 1/3 or 1 cup of the oil, okay? Now, I'm going to mix my other 2 together first, my dry components first. So I'm going to give myself 1/3 cup of oil. Okay, so I've got 1/3 cup of oil. I'm going to mix my dry ones together first, just so that they can get nice and mixed in together. If you're doing this at home, do it with your hands. Have the kids get in there with their hands. The reason I'm not doing that is I have like 3 other experiments I'm going to be doing, and I don't want to have this all over my hands right now. Okay, now I will be getting my hands in it in just a little bit, but I'm just combining those 2 with my spoon here, just so that once we put our oil in, that we get a little bit easier mix. Okay, now it doesn't have to be 100% combined because you are going to be mixing it once you have that oil, but as you can see there, our purple and our cornstarch are pretty well mixed. Okay, and now I'm going to put my oil in. Same thing. I'm going to mix in my oil, and I'm doing this one first because if you give it a few moments to slake, okay, or to set, you'll actually end up with a little bit better product, and it'll be a little less sticky, less messy, and you'll be able to have a little bit more fun with it. So we're going to mix it first. We'll do some of our other experiments, and then we'll come back to this one. Okay, so I'm stirring it up. You're seeing how it's getting kind of a little clumpy there. We're going to want to have those clumps because those clumps are what it's mixing in. And what's happening is as that oil combines primarily with the cornstarch and coats the sand, it is giving us a nice material that will stick together but doesn't actually adhere. Okay, so what that means is it'll hold together. You can mold it, you can press it into stuff, but it's not going to actually glue together. Okay, so it won't glue together, but it'll hold together. It's kind of a strange, I know that sounds like it doesn't make much sense, but if you've ever played with kinetic sand, you get it. So I'll show you in a little bit what that's like. That looks like we're pretty mixed up there. We should be looking pretty... Okay, I gotta tell you, all right, Studio 519, we got like the world's coolest team right here. I did just get a little note. This is RayKitty litter. Oh, yeah, that is beautiful. Yes, and I will never not use that. So this is RayKitty litter. I'm already looking forward to using that in future classrooms so I can see the kids laugh. I know you're laughing at home. I'm trying not to laugh as hard as I am inside right now because yes, this is clumping up perfectly just like RayKitty litter. Yeah, that is lovely. That is lovely. So there you go. So we've got this mixed up. We're going to let this set for a little bit. So we've got this pretty material here. We're going to set it to the, I'm still laughing at the RayKitty litter. I'm going to set this to the side for a little bit, and we're going to check out some of our other experiments while this just sets and kind of gets soaked into that cornstarch. Okay. As I said, what's happening there is it is actually combining with the cornstarch, but it is just coating the sand. Okay, and that's what gives us kind of some of the magical properties there. So this RayKitty litter, which is forever what this is going to be called now, we will set that one over here for now. We'll get back to that one in just a minute while we show you some of these other fun ones that we can do. These ones here that we're going to do next, we're going to work with hydrophobic and hydrophilic properties. Okay, hydrophobic means that it is afraid or it wants to get away from water. Hydrophobic. Okay, hydrophilic is the opposite. Okay, Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love, right? So phila means that it wants to combine with or it wants to be part of. Okay, so hydrophilic means that it loves water. Hydrophobic means that it wants to repel water. Okay, so we have two different things that we've made. Now, one of them that I made, I actually did this one ahead of time. Okay, so this one I did last night and a little bit this morning. And what this is that same very expensive sand. Yeah, sand, except this is green. And the reason I made this green is so that I could remember which one I was using instead of the other one. So this is green sand, but again, you can use normal sand from outside. Make sure you get the goat heads out. And what I've done with this sand here, and the reason I did it ahead of time is this one does have to set for a little bit. Okay. Now there's a couple different ways that you can do this. The one that I used, and I'm not recommending a brand over another brand, but it's just never wet. Okay. All this is a coating that you'll use on your clothes, your boots, if you want to waterproof your boots. You'll find it in like your department store, usually in the shoe section, and they'll have it in spray cans or wipe-ons. But what it is it's something that will help coat your clothing so that the water doesn't get in. You doing them? Yeah. If we dial it back there, then it was hydrophobic. Okay, so what I did here was I took that coating and I sprayed it on the sand. Okay, so we have that hydrophobic coating that is sprayed on my sand. Okay, so this sand here is now hydrophobic sand. Okay, now this again is something that if you look around, you can purchase it sometimes at like hobby stores or craft stores. Every once in a while they'll have it in the toy department. But what it is I have soaked this sand in that hydrophobic material. And so it's made a coating on this sand here to where this sand wants to repel water. Okay, so instead of attracting water, it wants to repel it. It is hydrophobic. So this is a fun one. As I said, the reason I did it ahead of time is because it has to dry. So if you're doing this at home, what you'll do is you'll get your sand. It can be fun colored sand like this, or it can be regular sand from outside. You'll lay it out flat. You'll get your spray. If it is a spray, I'm not going to spray it in here because then, yeah, it gets on everything. But you're going to spray that sand down. You're going to soak it down, and then you're going to let it dry. Okay, and that's another reason we didn't do it while we were here in the studio, is because we want it to have plenty of time to dry. So you'll soak it, let it dry. You'll probably want to shake it around, mix it around a little bit, spray it again, because if you're spraying just the top, then the other side won't be nice and coated with that hydrophobic material. Now, hydrophobic material works down onto a nanoscopic level, which nano is very, very small, 1/1000th of a meter there. And so when we have that tiny nanometer, then we will cover that material so it really ends up making kind of a little bubble on the outside of it. So it gives us an area that has surface tension or water tension that is repelling the water that we put it in. Okay, so I've got a little spoon here. I've got a whole bunch of little spoons, but we're going to use one of them. And I'm going to get some of this stuff here. And now, as a disclaimer, I've never used this particular brand for this experiment, so if it bombs, don't tell anybody. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this into the water here. Oh, it does work. We're okay. All right, so we're seeing that. Remember how I talked about that surface tension? See what's happening here is instead of it just pouring into the water, what's happening is it poured right on top. And we have, if we can get, I don't know if I can hold it up enough to where you can see right down there with the camera, right underneath. Yeah, look at that. You can see how it's actually got weight. And so it's actually pushing in that level or that water level. Now what I'm going to try and do is to take my little finger and push my finger in there. Oh, there you go. And remember how I talked about those bubbles there? It's actually making a level or a layer of air, right? Or water tension around that sand there that is not allowing that sand to get wet. Now I poked all the way through it, so I got some on my finger. Let's put some more because that'll be more fun. So we're going to get some more and we're going to see what happens and see if we can get enough weight to where it can actually weigh down that water and break that level of tension, and then we can watch what happens when it falls down in there because it's pretty fun. Now you can see this. That stuff actually works really good. Okay, I said I wasn't going to recommend a brand. Dude, use Never Wet. It's amazing. All right, so yeah, this works. Oh, there we go, almost. Yeah, so this one works really, really well. We can see when we get... I have never gotten it to go this far. You guys are witnessing like magic right here. Look at that. I have never seen this happen before. It will never hold this much. That is insane. I'm like thrilled. I'm so happy that you are getting this on camera because I've never seen this happen before. That is a lot. Usually I'll try and hold like a spoon's worth, but this has got such a strong hydrophobic property to it, and it is repelling that water so strongly that it's actually creating like an almost buoyant little bubble there. Now I'm going to push it down in, okay, and we can see that buoyancy. Now there's some bubbles where the air is being released from inside of it, but watch this. When I take it out, I can get a scoop of it, and it is still dry. Okay, the stuff that is in here that is not touching that outside area is still actually dry. Okay, so this is a hydrophobic and a very fun hydrophobic experiment there because you can get, man, that one really worked really well. I like that. You can get a lot of that sand there. And there's a lot of fun things that you can do with this one if you've got large bowls and you've got this much of it and it's working that well, that you can see that you can kind of just grab it and you can have the kiddos put their hands in there and play with it. Because remember, as I said, this one is a tactile. We want to have fun with it. So if you have a bowl big enough that they can get their hands in there, they can get in there, mush that, play with that. And that is an awesome hydrophobic substance that we made by spraying our sand with, yes, now I'm going to recommend always use never wet. No, I'm kidding. That's what I'm going to use from now on. Rust-Oleum, never wet. No, but yeah, so this is a fun one, and it will remain that way pretty much indefinitely. Okay, you can leave that dirt in the water will evaporate, and the sand will still be there. We can see on my plate here where that hydrophobic sand is on there. Those little water droplets just roll around because they are not afraid of, but they are resisting that sand because they are hydrophobic. Okay, now we're going to get this one out of the way. And I'm going to put it over here because when I grab that bowl later, I don't want to dump this water. All right, so we're now going to switch over to our hydrophilic, right? Meaning something that really likes water. Okay, so it's a little bit different. Now, you may have seen this one before on the internet because it's a fun one where a magician or a comedian or whoever says, oh yeah, I'm going to pour some water in here, and then I'm going to pour some water in here, and then we're going to dump some water on your head, right? And then we're going to pour. Now, I'm not going to pour the water on my head because we're in here, and I would end up getting it on the microphone, and then I'd feel terrible. So what we're going to do is I've got the water that we poured into this cup here, right? So then we see, all right, and the water pours right back out. We've got the water that we poured into this cup here and nothing, right? Now, that's because we put our hydrophilic material in here. Now, I have just a very, very slight amount of red. You know I don't use food coloring, but I put those flavor packets in there just so you guys can see what's going on. So we see that this is our sodium polyacrylate, right? Our diaper dirt that we were talking about earlier that you can harvest from the diapers. I put it in the cup and I only put a little bitty bit. And I'll show you here on our plate how a very little bit can hold a lot of water. Okay, so if you are getting this from diapers, that's a fun place to get it. If not, I have this stuff here. This is a little bit finer version, but I just got this one at the craft store, and it's very inexpensive, and there's a lot of stuff you can do with it. There's a lot of fun science that you can do with these in addition to just the fun. Now, when I start with this one though, students, kids, adults, teenagers, everyone just wants to play with it because it is very fun to play with. So what we're going to do is this is our opposite, right? This is our aquaphilic material, meaning it really likes water. So before, how we had this one here where it's still not wet in this cup, I'm going to put this here so we can see it. We're going to do something here, and I'm going to pour a little bit of water onto our hydrophilic. Now remember, the red color is just so you can kind of see what's going on. I put very little of that whatever flavor juice pack in there, and that's just so you can see just a little bit of what's going on as far as the coloring on the plate. So I've poured that water in there. I poured about this much of a cup of water in there, and it's gone. We'll see if it can hold a little bit more. As you can see, I would estimate almost a teaspoon, okay? And you can see that water has been absorbed already. This is our hydrophilic, meaning that it absorbs or really likes water. Now, you may not be able to see until I start messing with it, but this over here is also gel already. This has already absorbed that water. And so the water that we poured on there, you can see I've poured quite a bit of that cup on there. And as I kind of stir it around and let it mix around, and I'm mixing it because it's on a plate, and so that way you can kind of see what's going on instead of doing it in the cup where you can't see what's going on there. But this stuff here is already turned into a gel, okay? So that little bit that would have fit in my little spoon right here is now able to hold that much water. Let's see if it can hold some more. Okay, so I poured some more water on there. We'll see if we can absorb that water. No problem. Now, we don't have all day, okay? Because if we did, you would see that that much there would probably hold, well, it's not probably, it would hold about 3.5 of these cups of water. Okay, that is a lot of water that the little amount of this can hold. Now, you have seen this in action before. Where you have seen this in action before is the same place that I told you we can harvest our sodium polyacrylate, a diaper. Okay, now if you've ever seen a diaper, when you first get a diaper, it's nice and small and nice and folded up, and it's this cute little paper fabric package, right? Now, if you've ever seen a diaper after the child has done the horrendous things that children do to diapers, the diaper's about this big and weighs about 500 pounds, right? It is this heavy, warm of mush that you have after the baby has relieved themselves into the diaper. The same thing is happening here. Now, that sounds really gross when I say, look at this, but this is just a little bit of Kool-Aid in the material there. But our polyphilic material, our aquaphilic material will hold a lot of water. Now, this is something that you can play with. You can allow the kids to play with. A little bit goes a long way. One diaper's worth will give you a good afternoon's worth of entertainment, as crazy as that sounds. So this is a fun, easy one to do at home if you're looking at using that polyphilic material. Okay, so we have our aquaphilic material. So we have our aquaphilic, our aquaphobic, and then I'm just going to show you how our kinetic sand turned out before we wrap up here. This is our kinetic sand that we made. As you can see, you can mold it. You can put it into different shapes. You can stack it. This stuff here is way more fun than it should be. Our RayKitty litter, as it will forever be called right now. But this stuff here, this moon sand or kinetic sand, is a lot of fun. And it doesn't matter what age. My kids and I, we're talking 21, 22 years old and all those kind of things, have played with this for hours and hours. This is a fun, just hands-on, keep your kids busy while they are sitting in the house being plenty bored. You can use molds, you can use like cookie cutters, all kinds of stuff to make all kinds of fun shapes and things with your RayKitty litter. Yeah, trademark. Yeah, there you go. All right, so again, thanks a huge amount to the wonderful group here at Studio 519. I am Mr. Dave. You are watching the RayKitty Science Project, and don't forget that science shows you matter.